How's everybody doing today? This is so exciting. We are back week number 5. Cinco in Spanish.
5.
We made it this far.
I can't believe it either. It's so exciting.
This is great. And this is a good one. We're going to be living in the branding world.
I love branding.
Yes, you do. This is your wheelhouse. I'm excited to ask you all these questions and just to get your input and so that it can help you. Let's get into it.
Let's do it. The Business Project Podcast.
Business can be complicated.
We break it down so regular people like us
can understand and find success. I'm John Crespo, accountant and consultant.
I'm Casey Bryant, marketer and event planner.
If you run a business
or want to run a business,
welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? I'm so excited about today. We're going to get into your branding.
Some branding. Oh my God. This is your world.
Yeah, this is the funnest part. If you guys are just joining us and this is your first podcast that you are tuning into, we are on number 5, and there's lots of really good information before this. So make sure that you go on back to our previous podcast and check that out and get caught up.
This journey is meant to be a step-by-step process. So we're on week 5, so that means there's 4 other weeks. If you haven't read it or watched it, that you have to go and check out so that you can make sure you're following along with us as well.
Definitely. And if you know any other businesses that can benefit from this, make sure that you share this podcast with them. I personally know hundreds of people that could benefit from this information just because we all need a reminder about all of this. So
yeah, me as well. I think whenever I'm speaking to a business or doing my consulting, the business project is always one of the reference tools that I provide. And my question is, have you checked out the business project yet? Because if you didn't, you're missing out.
So much good stuff.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Branding. I'm excited.
Yeah, this is great. So this is the branding. Now, I've got my notes, and these are some topics that we're going to hit on that Casey is the resident professional in. So I'm going to pick her brain, and it's going to help all of us.
I'm not a professional. I just love it. I love this part of it. If we could just do startups and just do branding, I'd be a happy person. And then just hand it off and be like, okay, John, you take all the bookkeeping.
The ugly stuff, the boring stuff.
Yeah.
It's all good. Everybody has to live in some place, right?
Yep. There's no spreadsheets in branding.
No, there isn't.
That's my favorite.
Yeah. You get creative. This is the creative side.
Yeah, for sure.
So here we go. There's 3 steps that we're going to look at when it comes to branding. All right. And the first one is define your message. The second one is color scheme. And the third one is logo. All fun, right? So let's kick it off with define your message.
Defining your message. Yeah. So if you guys have been listening to any of our previous podcasts, we've gone over doing a market analysis, creating your mission and vision. And so again, that's why it's kind of important that you go back and listen, because we're building a foundation, right? Building blocks on top of each other. And if you have a mission and vision, and if you've gone over all of that, then you should know exactly who your business is, who you represent, what problem you're solving. You should be able to give your little elevator pitch, and you should basically know the who, what, when, where, why, and how of your business, right? Yep. And so when you're defining your message, you're taking all of that and you're clumping it in one ball of like awesomeness. And you're saying, okay, so considering all of these things, how do we want people to feel when they see our business, think about our business, walk in our business, call our business, anything related to our business? How do we want people to feel when they think of us? And it all has to be very cohesive, because if it's not, then there's going to be a big disconnect. And so you might get them in one area and they're really super excited about this. They love your branding. They love your colors. They love your font. They feel like they can relate to it. But then they go to your website and it doesn't match. They're like, oh, that is different. All wrong. Yeah.
I see that a lot.
It happens so much. Yes. And we'll get into in future episodes your branding guide, which talks about that part of it specifically. But when you're defining your message, it all fits in together. And so I want you guys to just get your whiteboard, get a piece of paper, and just really think about how you want people to feel when they think about your business. Again, walk into your business, talk to one of your employees, talk to you on the phone. like write down some descriptive words about what you want that to look like.
Yeah, so from what I hear, you're basically taking yourself out of your shoes and putting yourself into your customers or clients' shoes, right? And you're looking at your business from their eyes. And you're saying, how would I want to feel if I was to do business with myself or come into the location that I have or what have you? How would I want them to feel, when they come visit me? That's what I'm hearing.
That's exactly it.
Okay.
That's exactly it. What message are you sending as a company? So let's give some examples to you guys, because I feel like this would be helpful. We'll just use some national brands, and I'll name some brands, and you can probably think of some too as we go. But I want you to think, as we say these brands, how do they make you feel? Like, all of this goes into their messaging. Every single thing that they do, from the commercials that they make to the colors that they use, to their logo, to the types of products that they carry or services, to the types of employees that they hire, right? All of that is very cohesive, and they've done a really good job. That is their message. That is the overall message. And there's things even like the color scheme that you use inside of your building or outside of your building, or the scents, like what do they need to smell? The lighting. I feel like as restaurant owners and food people, lighting and music is usually not done so well.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because they just don't put that much thought into it. But it is such an important part of how people feel when they come into your business.
Yeah, you can tell, like you brought up restaurants, but you can tell the restaurants that you go visit, the ones that have put some thought into that piece of it, you kind of like lose yourself in there. Mm-hmm. The time, you're not too concerned about time, right? You have a relaxed feeling, you enjoy the meal, you're talking, and it's a lot of it is not just the company that you're with, but the feeling that restaurant has put together when you go in there, so you feel really good. And then you have those other restaurants you go into and you're like, all right, let's eat and go.
Yes.
I don't need to stay here much longer. This is the feel is not there.
Right. Exactly. That is exactly it. And so let's stay on the restaurant theme, and let's say Chick-fil-A.
Oh.
So you guys, Chick-fil-A, and that's pretty national. I feel like Chick-fil-A is everywhere now,
I think they are,
except for a couple places. But hopefully you guys all know what Chick-fil-A is. So what do you think of? How does Chick-fil-A make you feel?
Chick-fil-A has this what I feel when I go to Chick-fil-A is, number one, it's going to be pretty good quality fast food, and also very great service. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have some great service there. Yeah. And efficient.
So efficient. So quick.
It's crazy how the drive-through lines are so long, but they move them so fast. So, yeah. Right. That's what I think of with Chick-fil-A. Everything from Chick-fil-A, from the products that they serve to their branding to not being open on Sundays. I also think family, right? That's the first thing that comes to mind when I think Chick-fil-A. It's great for the family. The kids love it. Yeah. The grown-ups love it. It's quick and easy. It just feels good when you go there. You feel like you're supporting a good organization too. And so that's the first thing that comes to mind. But everything that they do ties back into that is how they want you to feel when you are doing Chick-fil-A. Even they're ordering online. Their app is super simple. It all ties back to that. So let's name another one. Tom's Shoes. Never heard of them.
Never heard of Tom's Shoes.
Where are they located?
They are. Have you guys heard of Tom's Shoes? If not, look it up. Tom's Shoes is an organization that does, for every pair of shoes that you buy, they give a pair away to the homeless.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. So a lot of times people think of Tom's Shoes and they think of generous or charity or, just making the world a better place. And so everything that Tom's Shoes does is that's how they want people to feel about their business. And so they've been very intentional. Yes.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. Mm-hmm. And intentional, that word, I was thinking about that with Chick-fil-A, how every process is created with intention, right? There's focus to make sure everything meshes together to complete their brand and their feeling and all of that. Tom's Shoes. So Tom's Shoes, are they Do we have one nearby?
I think it's just online.
It's an online retail.
It's an online retail.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I have to check that
And
out.
if hopefully you guys put in the comments before I gave it away, but how Tom Shoes makes you feel.
Don't worry about me. I hate shopping online. I hate shopping, period.
So one thing that you'll notice too, as we talk about these different businesses, is that they've defined their message so well that people almost everybody that thinks of that company thinks of very similar words.
Right.
And it makes the decision-making process so much easier when you are growing and building your company. If you know your mission and vision, you know where you want to go, and you have a very defined message, you can easily say no to things that don't fit in the structure of your company, right? Because as a growing company, when they get more and more successful, all of these opportunities come. Do we want to, especially with the restaurant, we'll use Chick-fil-A. Do we want to start serving burgers? It'll probably decrease the value of their food, right? Because it's more inventory that they have to keep up with. Some stuff will go bad. It will probably make the times longer, cooking times longer. It just adds an additional challenge to their thing. And so they can easily say, and I don't know if this is something that Chick-fil-A has thought about, I'm just using it as an example, but they can easily say, no, we're not going to do burgers because that doesn't fit the vision of what we have set up for the structure of our company.
So think about that as you're going through your process of creating your business. Is what do you want people to think, feel, smell, touch, whatever, when it comes to your business? And is everything that you're offering consistent in that approach?
Consistency is key.
Right, consistency. Yeah, awesome. That's
so
good.
important.
That is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there was one more thing in here that I wanted to touch on as far as the defining your message. So we have, how do you want people to feel, and slogan. Explain slogan. Like, how does that come into play?
Yeah, so your slogan is, it just helps trigger that feeling immediately, right? Like, it just, when you have a great message, when you've defined your message and it's all cohesive and it's all together, you have an opportunity with your slogan to set it home.
Right.
That's a home run.
I can see that.
Yeah. So if you have great branding, that's first base. You've made it to first base. If you everything goes together, and the way that you treat your employees, from the way that you manage your customers, that's second base, right? You got first, second base, and then third base is everything else outside of that has to do with your website and how you handle phone calls and that type of thing. And then, man, if you have a slogan that just zaps it in their head, it's a home run.
Yeah, I like the baseball analogy.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty good.
I like baseball too.
So there you go. You got some. You even had some examples of companies that put some thought into their look and feel of their business. So this is something that you can really put some thought in when you're thinking about your business as well. So this is great. Now when we come back, we're going to go over the other bullet points that we want to hit. So stay tuned, stay locked in, like and share this, because you're getting some gems today.
We'll be back.
CFD Services Inc. is your one-stop shop for small business support. We take care of the small stuff so you can take care of what matters most, your clients. Visit our website at cfdservicesinc.com for more information on what we offer and to schedule your free consultation today. And we're back. Hope you didn't miss us too much. This is an amazing episode. This really ties a lot of things in together. So I'm excited about being in your wheelhouse and having this conversation. The next bullet point is color scheme, and we're gonna go through different ways of what a color scheme should look like, what it should be, how you should set it up for your business. So this, again, I'm just excited to gather all this, because I need to implement this in mine as well, or actually take this information, look at mine, and see what can be adjusted. It's all about adjusting.
That was one thing I was going to say is even if you're an existing business, I mean, businesses all the time go through redesigns with their branding, and it's okay to look at what you have and say, hey, how can I make it better? It's not like you're stuck with it and you have to stick with these colors and logos and fonts. You can get creative and change it. You don't want to be changing it all the time, but it's okay to just take these tips and look at your stuff and say, hey, is there something I can do to make it better?
Yeah, maybe you can soften some edges or, lighten a little color scheme or something. But yeah, for sure, I agree with that.
One thing I wanted to mention too when we were talking about defining your message is I would highly recommend, and you're probably going to do it now without me even saying it, but really pay attention to the places that you're shopping and think about, before you walk into a store, just say, okay, I remember that podcast. I'm going to think about, how this place makes me feel. And I'm just going to pay attention to the experience. And you can take those opportunities and take notes. I really love that this business did this, or I feel like they could have done this better. Pay attention to the lighting, pay attention to the music, pay attention to the smells, pay attention to the way that the materials feel and the way that they put their tags on. And, there's just so many things. The way that they put the plastic shoes on when they went in to clean your house and so not to drag mud in, all of those little details. Just pay attention. Even if it's not specifically within your industry, it's still good to start realizing what businesses do that's adding value also to what you're offering.
Yeah. And you gain inspiration. You don't have to necessarily copy what they're doing, but you gain inspiration on what can make yours better. Right? So, secret shop is okay.
Yes.
Secret shoppers.
We should all be shopping local.
All the time.
Anyways, try some local businesses.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised what you find.
Mm-hmm. All right, branding. What were we talking about? We were
color
talking
scheme.
about color scheme. Yes. Okay, so your color scheme, you only want to have a maximum of 3 colors. Okay. Unless you have a rainbow in your logo or something along those lines. You don't want to have it be too busy with too many colors. 3 colors is good. A main color. All of my logos actually are just 1 color or 2 with white. Yeah. I love simple because I just love the simplicity of it. It looks good black. It looks good white. It looks good gray. I love the simple. You can make it small. You can make it big. You don't have to worry about, colors bleeding or things looking funny. And so also, it's a lot cheaper when you get t-shirts made and things like that if you just have 1 color. Because if you're doing screen printing, they usually charge, or even embroidery, they charge per color. So those are just some things to consider. Yeah, when you are picking out your colors, you want to have 1 main color, 1 sub-color, and then maybe 1 accent color that you only use every now and then. And as you're going through this, we're going to talk about the branding guide later. Is that this one? Do we talk about that later specifically in a podcast?
Yeah, we define it here and then we'll dig deep into it.
Sure. So as you're working on all of these things, you want to create a branding guide. And that is just a page. It can be a Word document that you just smack it on there. It can be, any way that you have to digitally put all of this in one spot. And Canva is also great. One thing that I love about Canva, it's just such an amazing tool.
Oh, I use it too.
Yeah,
we'll add it in our show notes so that you can check it out as well.
Yes. The cool thing about Canva is that you can save your branding colors and it'll only use those colors.
I noticed that.
Yeah. I use that so much. And just like defining your message, just like really all of the stuff that we're talking about, it takes the decision making out of every single time you have something cross your desk or somebody call you or an email or some big thing to do. You don't even have to think about it. You always use these colors when you're creating a website, when you're creating flyers, when you're doing an Instagram post. You just always use these colors and or these fonts, which we'll get into in a minute. But it just makes it so much easier and it makes everything flow.
Efficiency. Mm-hmm. Listen, one thing that you want to always keep in mind as a business owner is how can I do this how can we run our business efficiently? And creating this branding guide using the particular color scheme for your business just makes your life so much easier, because all you have to do is shoot them the colors, and then they can implement the thing you want to create. It's a lot easier. So efficiency is what I'm hearing here. Make your life easier.
And everything matches, and it all ties in together. And no matter who is working on your stuff, that's another thing, is it makes it easier to delegate. Because if you have this document that says, hey, these are the colors and the fonts that we use here, then most likely whatever they come up with is going to look very close to what you've already created. So it makes delegation easier.
Like it. I love it. Delegate. Efficiency.
Love delegating.
Good stuff.
Yes. So we talked about, what are we talking about? I forgot already. Logo, colors.
On the color scheme, you had the two font styles.
Right.
Consistent theme, right? 3 colors at most. I like that. 3 colors at most. What logos or colors have you guys seen out there in the community that's like a lot?
Too much.
Like too much. And then what do you see out there that's very nice and consistent and clean and simple?
That makes you feel good.
Yeah, and then how do you feel about that?
Right? Yeah. With the fonts, let me touch on the fonts really quick, because that's important too.
Yeah.
Just like with the colors, with your fonts. And so let me say this. I'm sorry, I'm bouncing. I'm so excited. I love this part.
Let's do it. This is your world. That's why I love
it. Your fonts and your colors, we've already defined your message. We've already researched you. We know your target market. We know all of those things. And so I really want to encourage you guys. I see this happen all the time. Businesses will create their logo, or they'll pick their colors based on what they like. And it totally misses the point, because the whole point in all the work that we've done leading up to this is when you pick your fonts and you pick your colors, it needs to be what your target market likes. Who are you selling to? You have to like it. I think it is important that you like it. Obviously, it's your business. But if you're, marketing towards women, you're not going to pick like black and gray colors. You're going to, and a big bulky font, right? You're probably going to find a script font and add something a little bit more feminine in there.
Makes sense.
If you're marketing towards men, you're probably not going to use, scripty fonts and pink. Yeah. So those are all things to keep in mind when you're going through this process. And same with the fonts as the colors. You don't want to have 5,000 fonts that you're using. Just 3 fonts is all you want. And those are the 3 fonts that you use for everything that you do. And it just looks great. This is the main font, like the title font. This is the subtitle font. And this is the content font.
Yeah, I love that. I wish I had this when I was putting my business together. You're going to get this information in thebusinessproject.com. When you go there and you visit that and you sign up, this is the kind of stuff you get access to. You're actually creating something that can live beyond you, right? You kind of want to do that when it comes to business, right? Mm-hmm. So having these systems and these guides and making sure that your branding is in place, is very important to the longevity of a business.
It is. And I love that you said lasting longer than you, because I think an important part of this process is involving others as well. It helps just get them bought in to what you're doing. So ask family, ask friends, ask if you're a business that already has customers, ask your customers when you go through this process. Like, what do you think about my colors? What do you think about my logo? If there was something that you would change, what would you change? How do you feel when you think about my business? Right. Getting that feedback from people that are not you, because you already have a particular feeling about your business, is really helpful. And then they feel bought in and they feel like they're helping and a part of something bigger.
You got to be open to that, though.
Yeah.
And expect honest feedback, too. You want honest feedback. So approach people that will give you that honest feedback, not just the yes people, right? Because that's when you're implementing the right changes. Because then you can mesh what you want with the honest feedback and create something that's going to be beautiful. This is good stuff.
Choose not to get offended. I love that. Yeah, you can't get offended in business. Yeah. You can't get offended when people get mad at you for something. You can't get offended because somebody doesn't like your thing. I mean, I'm just telling you right now, if you're running a business, things that you don't want to hear, you're going to hear. Very true. You just have to choose not to get offended and use it as a learning opportunity.
Very true. Very true. I love it because business is business. Business is war. Business, you have to have thick skin. You can't please everybody. You just want to make sure you please the right people and be consistent. So we got some good stuff here. And next up is going to be a very good one. When we come back, we're going to talk about logos. Ooh, logos. I had a headache when I was creating my business when it came to creating the logos. So I'm excited to see what we're going to talk about here. So stay tuned. Logo time.
We'll get back to the show in just a minute. First, we'd like to tell you about thebusinessproject.com. This is a one-stop shop to help you grow your business. We're just getting started, and as one of our very first subscribers, you can join now for just $19 a month, which will give you unlimited access to a growing library of videos on topics like branding, marketing, social media, and much more. See you there.
And we're back. Hope you didn't miss us too much, but I was excited, so I took some notes on this break because this is definitely some information I can use in my business to help make sure I take a look at my stuff and make sure it's meeting the kind of criteria and the longevity and everything that we want our businesses to live, using branding as the guide. So now we're getting into logos.
Yeah.
And you've created several logos, and you have very good talent for that.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, I mean,
it's because I keep them simple. I don't do anything complicated.
There you go.
I can do them simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a couple things in the logo building process that we want to consider, right?
Right.
Number one, it's something you have to pay for, right? You got to pay.
You get what you pay for.
Yeah, you get what you pay for, and it's the most important branding tool, right? You want quality and the files. You're going to go into the files, right? And the file types for it. Mm-hmm. And then, can you use the logo for like clothing and print and all that kind of stuff? So
right.
All important things. On this one. Yeah.
All important things. So the first thing is when you're creating a logo, you get what you pay for, right? Sure. Just like almost every other thing in this world. If you go to, there's lots of free logo creators, or even, $20 for a logo, and they'll be okay, but it's not going to be customized for what you want. Your logo is typically the first thing people see when they think of your business, or when they hear about your business, see your business, I guess.
Yeah.
And it just amazes me how businesses will put all this money into like their storefront or their website or their products or their packaging, and then their logo looks terrible, because I'm like, that goes on all of your website and your packaging and your storefront.
See it all too often.
Yeah, so much. And so you can pay cheap and get a cheap logo, but it's gonna probably look cheap. I always recommend putting a budget aside for a logo. And the logo, as somebody that does graphic design too, is so complex. I mean, I feel like a logo is harder to create than a website, because it's a lot of times people know what they want in their head, but they have a hard time communicating it. And it is so important, right? And so I would highly recommend finding somebody that is a professional in graphic design and working with them on creating a good logo for your business.
I was going to ask you about that because there's places you can go to online. You can get like a free logo, and you just go in there and you plug in some information, it'll spit you out a free logo. Or you have different areas you can go to online, right, to find cheap logos. When you said you get what you pay for, what would be the difference of someone going online versus seeking a professional out, let's say locally or somewhere, that can help create a logo for you?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that go into that. When you're getting files online, it's, as somebody that looks at a lot of branding, a lot of times it'll look like other people's. It's like a template. You get what I'm saying? Like, It'll be very boxy. There won't be anything super customized to your business. It'll usually just have letters and like a flower if you're a florist or some. It's not customized to what you, again, we know your mission and vision. We know what you want your business to look like in front of your customers now. And so your logo needs to be a representation of that. You want to have it customized so that it fits really well with all of that. And then also when you buy a logo online, a lot of times they don't give you all of the files that you need. So you will get this logo and then you'll have to end up paying somebody to recreate it anyways, because you need to blow it up for a sign or you need to make a t-shirt. So you want to make sure that you have it in all of the different formats, a PDF, a PNG, which is with a clear background. A PDF is usually to print. A JPEG, which is usually what you put on like, your Facebook profile or whatever. So you want to make sure that you have, and even the original file, you want to make sure that you have all of those so that when you're doing things with your logo later, you're not running into problems, not being able to do it because you don't have the right files.
I have a good story around that. So I have a client and they created their logo using an online program to help create that logo, and it was fit on their business card. It was fine for the business card, right? But the business grew, and it got to a point where they needed to get some clothing, some swag, some marketing material to help continue growing their business, and they didn't have the file types necessary to be able to do that. So they tried to take that logo that was on the business card, like crop it out, send it to the professional, right? That professional had to try to recreate that logo. So it ended up being more expensive, right? Going back, it ended up being more expensive for my client to have the logo recreated as close as they could to that original one, because they didn't have all the files for it, to be able to have the files so that they can get their swag and all that other stuff for it. So when you get what you pay for, you get what you pay for. In Puerto Rico, not Puerto Rico, but in Spanish, there's a saying, lo barato sale caro, right? That means... That's
fun.
Right? Yeah. Cheap stuff always ends up being expensive. So when you buy the cheap stuff, you always end up...
Such a good lesson.
You always end up paying more money than you expected because something is just not going to be right.
Yeah, great. That's good. Yeah. So I have another quick story about that too. I was speaking with somebody the other day that purchased a logo online. They've been using it for all of their stuff. So he had business cards, he had it on his website, on his Facebook, all of the things. And he went back and realized somehow, I don't know, that the image says that, so it's in a logo creator program.
Okay.
But the image says that you can't use the logo as your logo.
Okay. That's weird.
For like copyright reasons or whatever. So he ended up having to have the logo recreated differently, a little bit slightly different than what he got from the creator, because he wasn't allowed to use that one as a logo.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's little things like that.
Yes. Pay attention to that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And, this is why we do this, right? So you don't have to go through that.
Yes. And a logo, again, is so important. Definitely. And you want to, another couple other things to consider when you're doing your logo is you want to be able to print it on a dark or a light background.
Okay.
Yeah. So say you want to get a black t-shirt and but your logo has, black in it. Either you need to be able to transpose that black into white, or it just has to be able to look good on a dark background or light background, or you're going to paint yourself into a corner later. It's going to limit you to what you can actually do with it.
Good to know.
Yes. And then big and small. It needs to look really great, super small on a business card, and it needs to look really great, huge on a sign. And that's harder than it sounds.
How does that happen? Now, I know file types, you mentioned file types, are important in that being able to be done, right? So what are the file types that the logos can come in for the particular thing that you're creating, right?
So the bigger or small is mostly the size of the file. Yeah, a lot of times when you get it on a cheap place, they're going to give you a little tiny file. And so if you go to blow it up, it's going to be very pixelated and look terrible. Mm-hmm. But if you go to a professional, they'll give you one that can be blown up. The file type is a lot larger, and it can be blown up and it'll still look nice and crisp and clean. And another thing is the details within your logo. If you have a whole bunch of like intricate designs in your logo and you make it small, sometimes it'll just look like a smudge and people can't tell what they're even looking at.
Right.
So when you're working on it, make it really, really small, make it really, really big, and make sure that it looks good both ways, and then put it on a dark and a light background.
So in essence, get your logo done right. You'll have all the file types you need for whatever you need done for your logo, and it'll look good. I remember seeing, someone was showing me, I can't remember who exactly it was, if it was a graphic designer or just someone was showing me the difference between a logo created the right way and a logo created the wrong way. When they blew up the image, you saw that the one that was created the wrong way got really fuzzy and really pixelated, right? But the one that was created the right way was still very clean. No, the edges were very clean. So that stuff is important, and making sure that you look good, because you want to look professional. And it goes into looking professional and being consistent with your branding.
And we're trying to help you guys get it right the first time, so that you're not dealing with this. Like, a lot of this it takes a lot of time and energy and mental work and money. And so as you're doing it right now, let's do it right so that it'll last you for a little while, and you don't get to a point to where your business is successful and you're like, I need t-shirts, and then you can't print t-shirts and you're messing with a logo for a week, right? And then you have to wait another month because you have to have it recreated, and then you have to wait another month to get your t-shirts because the t-shirt's out. Like, it just creates such a disaster when you do it later.
It sure does. So, you get what you pay for. Remember that. You get what you pay for. Get it done right. It's just consistency, cleanness, and professionalism, right?
Make sure it matches how you want people to feel about your business.
Yeah. So you guys got some good information today. You got some gems. I hope you took notes. You're going to find this information on thebusinessproject.com. So like and share these videos, the audio, whichever way you're participating in the podcast, because we're on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple. But share it so that someone that you know can take advantage of this as well. And visit us on thebusinessproject.com.
I feel like I need to get on my knees and just say, please, do you guys want me to get on my knees? If you want me to, I will next time. Like, please beg, I'll beg you guys, please share this podcast with business owners, because John and I come across business. That's why we started this podcast. We come across, just in our little tiny city, so many people that need this information. Y'all, businesses are struggling, and a lot of the reason that they're struggling is because they don't know the basics of business.
That's true.
And so we are going all over the basics of business. So please, 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 right now, share wherever you're listening to this. Share it with any business owners that you know. It's free. It's gonna make you look awesome.
It will. It will, and it'll keep our business ecosystem strong. I mean, we've gotten notifications, or we saw the news where there's several businesses closing down in our area. In our little area, we have some solid businesses closing down. And I wholeheartedly feel that a lot of it has to do with foundational principles or practices that if we can help in that side of things, then we're doing what we're supposed to do.
And we want to hear from you guys too. We have a lot of resources on the Business Project, like John had mentioned, and there's a community. So if you sign up for any of the courses, even the free course, if you head on over and you take the course on the 5 things you can do to get customers for $0, we also have a free course on the 28 steps you need to take in order to launch your business. All of those, any course that you go over to the Business Project and sign up for, you get put into the community. And the community is it's golden. It's going to be, we're just getting started, so it's going to take a while, but it's going to be a really great resource for businesses. Yeah.
That's where you go to and you submit your questions and you submit your concerns or your ideas, and you can bounce them off other business owners like yourself. And also, we're on there as well, as a support structure. So ask us anything. As a matter of fact, on these podcasts, as you're listening to it, if you have something that you want to contribute or a question, ask it And what we're going to start doing is we're going to take those questions as they come, and we're going to start answering them in podcasts going forward. We're going to start answering some of your questions. So we want this to be kind of like a communal effort.
And don't be shy. If you have a question, there is a such thing as stupid questions, but
There is.
We're going to read it and we're going to laugh at you the whole entire time. No, I'm just kidding. We won't do that. But if you have a question, then there's probably most likely another person listening that has the same question. So don't be shy. And we can read it anonymously. We won't laugh at you. I was just joking. We can read it anonymously. If you want us to, just put that in the question.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us today, and look out next week. We have our 6th week coming up. I'm not going to tell you what it's going to be about. We're going to keep that a secret.
We're going to leave it. Yeah. It's going to be so good.
You got it. You got to be here for that one. So join us next week.
We'll see ya.
Take care.